Before I get into this video, I want to give a quick shout out to the Fast Break Amino. If you guys love talking basketball, this is the place for you. Link will be at the top of my comments. Going into this game, I really didn't expect much since these teams are so consistently bad, but I gotta say I was pleasantly surprised. The game was actually really close and we got to see some great performances from some rookies that I'm actually really interested in. But before I talk more about my thoughts on the game, let's talk about the numbers. Final score of the game was 114 to 107 with Atlanta taking the win. For the Hawks, Ken Bazemore had 22 points and 6 rebounds. John Collins had 17 points, 16 rebounds, and 4 assists, and Kevin Huerter had 16 points. As a team, Atlanta shot 47% from the field, 34% from behind the three-point line, and 75% from the free throw line. Moving on to the Knicks, Emmanuel Mudiay had 32 points and 5 assists, Kevin Knox had 24 points and 6 rebounds, and Tim Hardaway Jr. had 15 points, 4 rebounds, and 5 assists. As a team, the Knicks shot 48% from the field, 29% from behind the three-point line, and 70% from the free throw line. Now that you've got the numbers, I want to give you my thoughts on the game, starting with the Hawks. And one thing that really stood out to me for Atlanta this game was how well they did on the offensive glass. 15 offensive rebounds compared to just 4 from the Knicks. You could tell they really hustled for the extra possessions. Something else I felt the Hawks did really well was move the ball. Very unselfish play for such a young team. They really didn't take that many bad shots. They were always looking for the open man. On top of that, I think the Hawks had a lot of great action off ball that freed up some of their players for a lot of easy shots. Speaking of easy shots, a lot of them weren't falling in the first half, which is why I think the Knicks were able to take such a big lead. But the Hawks did come out in the second half looking a lot more dialed in, and then they started to fall. On the defensive side of things, I think the Hawks really struggled to defend the interior, especially in the first half. I feel like the Knicks got inside pretty easily. I think they improved on this a bit as they came out for the second half. Like I said, they were a lot more focused. But one defensive issue that did stick was Trae Young getting posted up by Emmanuel Mudiay, or Mudiay just attacking Trae Young in general throughout the entire game. He's just not strong enough right now to defend most NBA point guards, which currently makes him a huge defensive liability. Otherwise, though, I think Trae Young played really well. I've watched the past 2 Hawks games and his shot selection has improved a ton. He's also still setting up his teammates really well. He's a very gifted passer, and I think he has a brighter future than a lot of people are giving him credit for. The last thing I want to mention for the Hawks is that they did a great job attacking the Knicks in the pick and roll. The Knicks are probably one of the worst teams I've ever seen at defending it, and the Hawks did a great job exploiting it. Moving on to the Knicks, the first thing that I was really impressed with was how well Kevin Knox played in the first half. He looks a lot more confident and has made huge improvement from the beginning of the year. Now the next step I believe he needs to take is being consistent throughout the entire game. He's had several games like this season where he's been amazing in the first half but then kind of fades away in the second. Although I do think David Fizdale could have done something to give him more opportunities in the second half, as he didn't really touch the ball that much. He had the hot hand and it didn't really stick with him, so he seemed to go cold. While I'm on the subject of players, I really want to mention how impressive it is that Emmanuel Mudiay has made this big jump this season. He's looked like a legit starting NBA point guard for the Knicks this year, and now the only question is, can he keep this up consistently through the rest of the year? And if he can, I think it really speaks volumes about Fizz as a developmental coach. One issue I did have with the Knicks last night is that their bench played very poorly. They are missing some key role players in Alonzo Trier and Mitchell Robinson, but 15 bench points is unacceptable and never gonna cut it. Another issue I have with the Knicks is, like I said earlier, they're awful at defending the pick and roll. A lot of that falls on the shoulders of Enes Kanter, as he's such a huge defensive liability. I really don't know how you keep him on the floor. And even outside of the pick and roll, the Knicks did a really poor job contesting three-pointers. A big reason the Hawks were able to come back this game was because the Knicks allowed them so many open three-pointers in the second half. The last thing that I want to say is, in the first half, I felt like the Knicks had great ball movement and were taking smart shots, but in the second half, that all kind of went away. The Knicks had 14 assists in the first half and then 6 in the second. They need to find a way to be more consistent throughout the entire game. But those are likely just some of the struggles that comes with being such a young team. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and leave me a like. If you don't want to miss any more, make sure you turn on notifications. And if you enjoy talking basketball in general, make sure you subscribe to this NBA channel. And I'll see you guys next time.